prefer his name not be used in regards to questions, even though he didn't ask a question, but I thought he did, and I used his name. So I can use their seat numbers just as well, so that's not an issue. Does anybody want testimony from Deputy Rice? It would be Mr. Seawack, right? Yes. Number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who voiced the concern?
We'd asked Deputy Rice to tell us what was said.
Okay. Can you see if you can find him? Thank you.
I got it lined up. Put away, or I'll just switch.
Just get Deputy Rice.
Deputy Rice, you would by yourself step in the courtroom. I need you to go ahead and step into the courtroom. Leave them in the hall while she's with you. Yeah, leave them in the hallway, just step in.
Swear affirm?
I do.
Can you tell us about the conversation that you had with, I believe, juror number 6, who's Mr. Seawack, about his discomfort and his name being used?
He asked me, he said he had a procedural question. So as long as I'm not for trial, he says in these types of cases, he says when the judge is reading our questions to the witnesses, our names are being read. Is the media capturing our names?
Okay. That would be a yes. Okay. Did he say anything after that?
No. That I would require.
Okay. So I can answer his question, yes, and then I will start using numbers instead of names. Does anyone have another suggestion?
Judge, I think you can just use the name of the bench if you want it for the record purposes, but I don't think you have to ask anybody who asked the question. You can just say.
The Supreme Court says you should. You should say, so-and-so, is this your question? And after the answer, has your question been answered? So I can just say number instead of name.
I don't think that cures that person's problems. You're still pointing out who
Well,
as a group, does that?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, what about if I use the other numbers that jury services gives them? You can't really make any head nor tails of that. Because it's not the sequence of the chairs then.
Okay. If they remember that, I think it's fine. I just try.
No, I have to, I mean, Megan can do it either way. And then nobody's name is used. And I can just look at the person, because I'm obviously going to know who they are, and say number blah, blah, blah. Is that your question? Then they wouldn't be identified.
That sounds fine.
Does anybody want me to do anything else about this issue? Okay. I'll just make that announcement when they come in. Thank you.
Good job. Step back here.
He's in the jury box and seated, John.
Okay. I believe one of you has expressed concern over me using names when I say, so-and-so, is this your question? And another question to the deputy was, is this being released to the media? Everything in this courtroom is released to the media except your names and your addresses. If it happens here, they happen, okay? So what I can do is, and I apologize, I should have probably thought about it. In fact, I did think about it, and I evidently didn't think enough about it. What I'm going to do is, I'm not even going to use the chair numbers. I'm just going to say the press is not photographing you. Like juror 1, I don't know who the person is. Oh, how's that going to work? Do you know what your numbers are? It's like the 1001 thing?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So when you have a question, just do it in the normal way, and instead of saying Mr. or Miss, I'm just going to say, Juror 1001, is this your question? Okay? And yeah, Mr. Miranda.
Would you like us to put our camera on?
Juror 1179.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Would you like us to write down the number on?
I've been doing that.
Oh.
But it would be helpful if you did it. That would be great.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And yes, ma'am.
I don't know my 1,000.
I know what card.
I don't have it. I turned that card into my employer.
All right, I can tell you what it is.
2247.
2247 is your number.
2247.
Okay. Any other issues about that? And please, if you have issues, ask me. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And your names aren't released, and I mentioned this before, or your biographical information until 2 weeks after the trial is over. Then it becomes public record. Okay? But there should be no photographing of you. That's one of the agreements with the press that goes along with their right and or privilege to be in here. Yes, sir.
How do they get released?
Pardon?
How do our names and everything get released to the public?
How? They come to the clerk's office and ask for them. And they may be able to get them online, I don't know.
Can they get them online?
They're requested for our office, they send the information.
Okay, so they have to put in a request to the clerk's office and the information is sent to them. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, if you have any, please ask me. Okay? All right, Defense Team Finance Witness.
Defense Call Sergeant Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller.
Sir, would stand right here, face this
No,
way.
that's okay. You're as previously under oath, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good afternoon, Sergeant Miller.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
If you could please just turn to the jurors, introduce yourself, state your name again for the record.
Sergeant Kenneth Miller, Miller.
All right, Sergeant Miller, how many Bibles were collected from Mr. Jonchuck's car the night he was arrested?
2, the big, large Swedish one and a smaller one.
May I approach the clerk and witness judge? Sure. I'm showing you what's been pre-marked for identification as defense number 7. Can you take a look at? Bless you. Can you take a look at that and see if you recognize what that is?
Yes, that's the second Bible taken from Mr. Jonchuck's car.
Okay. And is it in the substantially same condition as when it was recovered?
Yes, it is.
Judge, at this time, we'd ask to introduce what's been pre-marked as Defense Exhibit 7 into evidence as Defense Exhibit 7.
Objection. Received.
Is the glass in the book, do you believe that's from when they smashed in the windows?
Yes.
And what is, I'm sorry, I shouldn't take it from you. What kind of Bible is this one that was recovered?
It's the Gideons.
Best you recall, was there a Catholic Bible in English recovered from Mr. Jonchuck's car?
No, I don't think so.
I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as defense number 6. If you could take a look at that, let me know if you recognize that.
Yes,
And what is that?
that's a Bible that Melanie Dishman gave us.
If you want to open
Sure.
it, just take a look and let me know if it's in the same condition as when you mentioned that.
Yes.
Judge, at this time, we'd ask to introduce into evidence what's been pre-marked as defense number 6 as evidence defense number 6.
Any objection? Any objection? Okay, receive.
You indicated that that Bible came from Melody Dishman.
Yes.
Was it something that she, I guess, where did she get it from?
She said that was the.
Objection, this is hearsay.
It's the same.
What was your understanding of when Mr. Jonchuck had moved out of Melody's house?
Around Halloween of the previous year, which would have been 2014.
Sergeant Miller, I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as Defense Exhibit 12 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, this is Mr. Jonchuck John's cell phone.
And is it in the same or substantially same condition as when you saw it last?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, we'd ask to move into evidence what's been pre-marked as Defense Exhibit 12 as evidence defense.
Objection.
Sergeant Miller, after you testified last week?
Yes.
After you testified last week, I had asked you some questions about when that phone was put into evidence. Is that correct?
Yes, you did.
Did you go back and try to obtain that information from the jury?
Yes, I did.
And were you able to ascertain when that phone was actually placed into property and evidence?
Yes, it was April 23rd, 2015.
I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as defense number 2 for identification. You take a look.
Yes, it's a $100 bill, cash.
Okay. And judge asked to move into evidence defense number 2.
Can I see that?
Oh, yeah.
No objection, Your Honor.
Receive.
Was this $100 bill on Mr. Jonchuck's person when he was arrested?
It would have been in his wallet. We're not allowed to put the leave the cash in the wallet. We had to separate it. We put it in the property evidence.
Sergeant Miller, I'm showing you what's been marked as defense number 11 for identification. If you take a look at that, let me know if you recognize it.
It would have been a jewelry that was on Phoebe Jonchuck at the time of her death. It's a necklace and a cross.
Judge, at this time I ask to enter into evidence defense number...
Sorry.
That's okay. Number 11.
No objection.
Receive.
Phoebe, was Phoebe wearing that necklace when her body was recovered?
Yes.
Sergeant Miller, during your investigation, did you have an opportunity to obtain a phone number for St. Paul's Church?
Yes, I did.
And what phone number, what did you determine St. Paul's number to be?
813-961-3023.
Sergeant Miller, how many times do you think you spoke to Michelle Jonchuck, biological mother?
Around about 5. I mean, I spoke to her many times by phone.
At any time, did she indicate to you that she and Mr. Jonchuck had a fight where he indicated, I'm going to mess your life up or F your life up or something to that effect?
No, she did not.
Did you had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Jonchuck's dad and stepmother as well, correct?
Yes, I did.
Did either of them ever mention anything about having an argument or fight with John that night?
No, they did not.
Did they indicate that they were in bed when he left?
Yes.
I object to hearsay.
You said yes.
Yes.
At any time during your observations of Mr. Jonchuck, did you have any reason to believe that he was under the influence of drugs or alcohol on the early morning of January 8th, 2015?
No, I did not.
I have a moment, Judge. Nothing further. Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Afternoon, Sergeant.
Afternoon.
You mentioned on direct examination that the defendant's phone was placed in evidence on April 23rd, 2015.
Yes.
And where was the phone from the time of his arrest until April 23rd?
It had been in case file under lock and key in my desk.
All right. Does that mean you had possession of it?
Yes.
Would it have been secure during that time?
Yes.
When you spoke with Michelle Jonchuck, did you ever, or do you recall asking her specifically about threat that was made on January 5th, or was it just that she never brought that up?
She never brought that up.
Okay. She didn't tell you about it, right?
Correct.
If she had told you about it, you would have inquired further, right?
Oh, yes.
But you would agree that when you talked to her, her demeanor was very emotional and upset, right?
Yes.
Can you describe that for the jury?
She was off and on, hysterical a little bit, try to calm her down. I mean, obviously, emotional because of the notification just happened.
Right. There were times when she was hysterical when she was talking to you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have a moment, Your Honor? That's all I have.
Anything further?
Just briefly. When you gave her the notification, she was hysterical, right?
That was already done by Sergeant Hull
Okay.
and her team.
Okay. Did you continue to have additional conversations with her?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Anything further?
No.
Okay, is Sergeant Miller released, or does he still need to be on standby? Oh, okay. Gotta get the new procedure down here. Okay, raise your hand if you come. Juror number 2260. Did you administer a drug test upon arrival at the jail?
No, I did not.
Does that answer your question, 2260? Yes? Yes. Thank you. Anybody else have a question? All right. Can Sergeant Miller, should he be on standby or released?
I guess stand by.
Okay. Thank you, Sergeant Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Defense, you may call your next witness.
Maybe first, Judge?
Yep. that is with the lawyer's testimony, and then mayor 4 hours. The tape.
Yeah, well, the lawyer is the one who will
I got it, okay.
be the person through whom we introduce. I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question about the introduction of the videotape that I was wondering if we could address tonight, but we don't need to. I can do it in the morning.
That's okay. What is it, Nate?
We have two proposed versions of it. One of the versions has where the court appoints Dr. Corbin. The other version has where it's not, because the state is objecting to it. We think the whole thing should be played minus the redactions that we've already talked about.
What's the value in Dr. Corman's appointment? What relevance is that?
This is what happened in the proceeding. It's the record of the proceeding as it occurred on the morning of his arrest.
There has no relevance. They don't know what that means. It doesn't mean it comes in just because it's the recording and it's on there. I just don't understand why it's relevant then.
Okay.
Have you seen the redacted one where there's no Dr. Corman and there's... No?
We haven't seen fully redacted, no.
Okay.
I mean, we know where it would be in the tape, but we haven't seen the date done that.
So that's basically 4 hours. So that might take us till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So then we would be ready for vote, I think, right?
We have a couple civilians that would probably go first in the afternoon, maybe an hour and a half or so. What I don't want to do though, then we'll be into experts, and I don't want to start experts at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Maybe start the experts at Friday morning at 9.
Well, maybe Friday morning at 10. I have some stuff.
I have a question then. Monday of next week, are we on for trial, or are we taking that day off?
We're not taking the whole day. I'm going to see if I can get someone to offer to do the pre-trials, but if not, then we'll be in session either in the afternoon or all day, but I don't know yet.
When will we find out for scheduling our witnesses?
Tomorrow?
Okay, thank you. So we can tell the expert
Friday
Friday morning,
at 10.
10, okay?
But that's providing there's no, obviously, run over from tomorrow.
Understood.
Okay, so is there anything else I need to do today?
Not from the state judge?
Okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay, so I'll see everybody in the morning at 9 o'clock.
See you.
All right, we'll be in recess till 9 o'clock
Hi, Megan.
tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Linda. Are you